Tragic story this week. A woman dead after a terrifying flight complete with a blown engine and shattered window. But there's also an emerging story of heroism in the cockpit. Listen to pilot Tammy Jo Schultz. She was the Southwest Airlines pilot who made a harrowing emergency landing after her plane apparently blew an engine midair.
Could you have the medical meet us there on the runway as well? We've got injured passengers.
Injured passengers, okay. And is your airplane physically on fire?
No, it's not on fire, but part of it's missing. They said there was a hole and someone went out.
I'm sorry, you said there was a hole and somebody went out?
South 1380, airport's in sight. Switching tower, good day.
So cool under pressure. Joining us now, also cool under pressure, Arizona Republican Congresswoman Martha McSally, a retired Air Force colonel who wants to honor Schultz. Yourself an aviator in the military. What did you think when you heard this?
Well, she's a badass, first of all. I mean, she's my hero.
At 11 p.m.
I think we can, right? Look, she paved the way for me. I mean, I was a fighter pilot, but she was a fighter pilot before, and they let her be an aggressor and an instructor pilot, but they wouldn't let her be in a combat unit. So I'm just so grateful for her. And when I saw what she did, and I listened to the whole tape from start to finish, she was just amazing, unflappable, nerves of steel. So
well,
proud
it's
of her.
interesting because she had this dream of being an aviator, and so many times as a young woman she was told she couldn't do it. She says this in a book about women who are military pilots and moms. She says, "I did not understand how I could have such an interest in flying, not a passing infatuation, but a real desire, and yet have no way of trying out my wings. Finally, a year after taking the Navy aviation exam, I found a recruiter who would process my application," and she was really a pioneer in this.
Oh, she absolutely was. She lived underneath an airbase, so she just looked up and saw and was inspired by it, but they just blew her off, and Air Force turned her away. But again, she got to go show that the airplane doesn't matter if you have ovaries or not, right? So she showed flying F-18s, being an aggressor, training the other pilots, that she could do it. And I'm so grateful. Now she's been flying now over 25 years, I think, for Southwest. And look, everything that we learn in our pilot training, from day one, you're a pedestrian when you show up, right? And they have to teach you how to be cool under pressure, how to be able to deal with emergencies. You have to know everything about the airplane. You got to know what we call bullface procedures, like rote in your sleep. You better rattle them off, otherwise you're going to be grounded for the day. She went through all this training for this moment in time. Like, she's a hero, and yesterday was her day. I mean, our thoughts and prayers obviously are with the Reardon family, but she saved 148 lives.
Yeah, and we've gotten now a bit of a statement from Southwest, because this is story, obviously, the good and the bad of it has captured so many headlines, saying this: as captain and first officer of the crew of 5 who worked to serve our customers aboard Flight 1380 yesterday, we all feel we were simply doing our jobs. Our hearts are heavy. On behalf of the entire crew, we appreciate the outpouring of support from the public and our coworkers as we all reflect on one family's profound loss. I know she's a person of deep faith, too, and has talked about how that's helped her in flying and all that she's gone through.
She is. I was reading about that today, and I myself have done a lot of praying in cockpits. I mean, when things go wrong, when you're in combat, when you're dealing with these emergencies, there's no doubt that she was literally praying without ceasing as she was doing her job yesterday to save all those lives. And I know it's very humble for her to say that. And I know they have to go through the interviews and the investigations, but we want to honor her. So I'm introducing a resolution in Congress to honor her and the crew for what they did yesterday, because we need to give honor where honor is due.
Yeah, and she, like you said, very humble, and has said she was just doing her job. But can you give us a sense of what it's like in that moment to figure out how to get a plane like this to the ground?
Again, you go through lots of training so that in the moment that something happens, like this was just catastrophic failure, our understanding is the airplane shifted 40 degrees to the left and started to descend, because it was a pretty catastrophic exchange. Obviously, the shrapnel kind of came through into the fuselage, into the window, and then what was going on with the decompression that's happening. You heard the radios as she started to descend. She had to quickly descend. We go through this whole process: maintain aircraft control, analyze the situation, take appropriate action. And then as we're prioritizing, it's aviate, navigate, communicate. And you saw the end of that is communicate, coolly and calmly what you need, what you're doing, where you're going, so that you can get everybody safely on the ground.
Yeah, and you say the 3 words there. My brother is a retired naval aviator too, and he always, I think you're the calmest people on the planet because of all that you've been through. Thank you for joining us tonight, for your service as well.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And we're so proud. We're so proud of Captain Schultz.
Well, we'll keep an eye on your resolution on the Hill as well.
All right, great. Thanks.
Thank you.